In over 3 decades, I've learned that truly great car dealerships are only great because of one thing: leadership. So I'm sitting down with the great men and women inspiring automotive on Tim Talks.
Automotive leadership and beyond.
Welcome, everyone, to yet another edition of Tim Talks. This is going to be a fun one. This is one of my buddies. This is one person that I've known since 2015 when she was at, in fact, one of the first, actually the first road trip that I took when we started Car Now, when she was at Wesley Chapel Toyota, I believe. I want to welcome Lynne Hudson, who is the Director of Marketing for Toyota, Tampa Bay, and West Shore Honda. Just a little bit of background on why I have Lynne here, and what I'm so excited about is Lynne is taking, not only is she have a big job as Director of Marketing at those two incredibly successful dealerships, part of the amazing, award-winning, just phenomenal run organization that is Morgan Auto Group. But she has a passion for leadership. And I want to really hone in on what she's doing as she serves her community with leadership. Because the reason we did this podcast, you saw it on the Launch podcast, hopefully, is that every dealership that I go to, quite frankly, every company that I observe, it's the good company, it's the most successful companies. There's one common denominator, and that is leadership. And Lynne's passion is leadership as a whole, but most importantly, leadership among women in our space, which I am. We have some incredible women at Car Now. Roxanne Durst that just won a huge award recognizing her, and excited about what these incredible women are doing, not only in our space, but others. So big, long introduction. There's just a lot to get in, but welcome my friend, Lynne Hudson. Welcome to Tim Talks.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. So thank you for that long introduction. It makes me feel old.
It's been a minute. Oh, sorry. I got a new toy, guys. Just bear with me. But anyway, yeah, Lynne, talk to me. So what you been up to?
Oh, well, let me start here at the dealership. You had mentioned Morgan Auto Group and leadership within the organization. I've really stepped out and done some leadership outside of the organization, but the reason is because of the leaders that we have here. They're inspiring, they're amazing. My direct leader, Mark Scholes, is incredible. And so I really wanted to reach out of, kind of branch out my hands, right? And touch the women that are outside of the organization, see who we could bring into automotive space.
Yeah, that's amazing. In fact, one of our female leaders in, I'm not sure I can say her name or not, but one of our female leaders that's made a monster impact on our company is actually going through one of your courses even now. And just the feedback from that has been incredible. So I wanted to unpack that. One of the key things is you started out getting certified through John Maxwell, and anything, John, I've never met the man. I met his original partner, Dick Peterson, years ago at the Lexus store when he was still a pastor or he was telling me the story of when he was still a pastor in San Diego. And if you've ever heard me communicate or speak, I apologize, number one. But if you have heard that, there's either no less than one, if not 20 John Maxwell quotes. Probably my favorite. One of the quotes that absolutely changed my life was, you can tell John's all over the place. Obviously, as we all age, we slow down a little bit. I don't think he's slowed down at all. But his 3 words that changed my life were just for today. Nothing we can do about yesterday. We can look at the game film. We can try to get better. Tomorrow's not promised, but we all have today. And when he said that was nearly 20 years ago. It literally changed my life. So unpack that. Tell us the story a little bit of how you got started, how you got certified, and what that's transitioned to with what you're doing now.
Yeah, I'm going to start when I got into the car business, because even though it was a while ago, we're going back to 2011, I was going through a really bad time in my life. I was going through a divorce. My ex-husband didn't have a job at the time. I was a stay-at-home mom of 3. And Before that, we had a great life, living on the golf course, doing great, right? Your average upper class, middle class Americans. So now I had to go out and get a job, and I was kind of freaking out. I walked into Wesley Chapel Toyota and I was shaking. And at the time, Patrick Abad was the GM there. I sat down at his desk and I said, I want to sell cars. I've never sold cars before. I'm really good with people. I know I'll be great at this. I promise you I'll sell a ton of cars in the first year, and then you can make me a manager. And he just like kind of looked at me and was like, what are you even talking about? So he's like, okay, I like your grit. Like, seriously, you are funny. So he shook my hand. He's like, you have the job. So then I take out this like out of my back pocket. I'm like, and since I'm a mom of 3, stay at home, they're really used to me being there. So these are all the days I need off in the next year. And he's like, I don't even know. Like, you're blowing my mind right now. So I leave, I come back, I sell like 250 cars my first year. And truly, I was the only woman on the sales floor. I put my head down and I just focused because I had to make money. Fast forward, the next year, I get put into management like he promised, because Pat's a man of his word. And we start leadership training with Trish Bazan, who was a John Maxwell leadership coach. And at this point, Tim, I needed it not just for leadership. I needed it in my life. Like, John came to me at the right time. And I dove into these books and started listening to him and really kind of leading by him at home, because, he's a very spiritual man, but then also at work. I wanted to be the best leader I could be, the best mom I could be. Every year, Trish would say to me, hey, when are you going to go to training? When are you going to become a coach? When are you going to become a mentor? And every year I said, I'm still learning. I need more. COVID hits, right? And I've been through it all now. I feel like I'm on my feet. I'm a great leader in the organization. And I kept moving up. I call her and I say, hey, I'm ready. She said, actually, you were ready 5 years ago, but I'm glad mentally you feel like you're ready. And since then, I have been coaching women, men and women, but I have several strong women-based organizations that I team up with. So I've been coaching women one-on-one in mastermind groups. And now I'm rolling out this intentional living class, which will be a stretch and relaxation to get your mind, body, and spirit on the same page. And I'm really excited about it. My goal is to grow myself, grow the women around me, right? And keep it consistent.
Now that's amazing. And one of the things that I like to see is, especially, and it makes you proud when you pour into people and you see the end result. Because look, we live in a broken world and people deal with stuff. Now, like, we all have stuff that we're dealing with. And if you don't, and quite frankly, because of social media, we live in a world that, and especially in in all businesses, let alone the car business, we portray on social media that everything's great. Right. But there's always something going on. And what can really happen when we change our mindset? They said in scripture a long time ago, be transformed by the renewing of your mind and thinking about things differently. So let's unpack, especially leadership in the dealership, but women in the dealership as well, because I've had the blessing to be a part of, just see some incredible women. But what is one of the things that when they come and say, hey, I need help, or hey, I want to take this class, like, what are some of the blocks that we still see, or maybe the personas or something in this space that you're helping them kind of break through? What are you seeing when they're knocking on your door saying, hey, I might need to take your class?
I think for women, there's still the idea that if you're raising a family, it's tough to move up because dealership hours are long. They are so long. But if you work for an organization that respects and is looking for female leaders, they'll work with you, right? Morgan, when I started, I was working these crazy hours and I just thought, I'll keep my family to myself because I don't want to get fired. And then one day my GM sat in front of me and he said, do you like being here until 9-10 o'clock at night? I said, no, my kids are at home feeding themselves. And he said, then let's fix it. And I said, well, I don't want to get demoted. He said, I never said that. He said, I'm never going to demote you because of your family. But you have to find an organization that's willing to work with you and grow you based on your skill set, your beliefs, your morality, right? And not the fact that you're a woman or so on and so forth, whether you're a woman or a man. And you have to have the grit, and you have to have the consistency and the mindset to go after it. That truly does go hand in hand. If you don't have that grit to say, I want to move up, and I'm not afraid to say it, you have to jump in and do it. It's having those tough conversations. It's having that direct conversation with the people that have helped you grow. And dealerships get a bad rap. I think that a lot of say, oh, those old car guys, they're not growing, they're not training, they're not leading, but that's not true. If you are on social media, you see the amazing organizations run by women, hiring women, developing women. And there's handfuls of them, hundreds of them. You just have to find the right one for you.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, you mentioned, our most, well, not a lot of people know Patrick, Pat at Beaver Toyota, incredible human, Tom Moore and the incredible people at Morgan Auto Group. Guys, they're out there. I mean, they are out there. I mean, the persona of the dealership, the plaid coat, cigarette smoking, sign here, let me cover it up with my tie. I mean, there are some great human beings in this space, and we've been fortunate enough to surround yourself. And look, I would argue, there's enough of them out there that, if things aren't that way in your dealership, I think there's a lot of people that need good people. Look, we need good people in our business, and I'm sure that the Morgan Group and Beaver and all these organizations, and there's a bunch out there, CMA and on and on and on. With Liza leading that company, does an incredible job. Absolutely. And is an incredible human. So what is the typical responses that you're getting, struggles that when you have those, you'd lead the class, but those one-off, is there something that continues to repeat itself? Is there specific struggles that women in general need help with, or encouragement when they're coming to you and taking these classes? And then at the end, the follow-up question, I guess, if you could just expand on that, is the end goal. When you finish this class and that person is X, what do you want to see, and what can they, what do they feel when they leave your classes?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the things that we identify are the gaps, right? So where are your gaps? Do you have a hard time handling confrontation? Do you have a hard time creating good habits and getting rid of some bad habits? When I look at the women that I've worked with, and that it's been hundreds over the last few years, I think one thing really resonates with me, and it's that women are truly hard on themselves, right? They do a million tasks. They're all taskmasters, and they want to balance it all. And so they think they're failing. They have that feeling of, I'm failing because I can't do a million things wonderfully. So it's figuring out what's important to you, right? And living that intentional life. And that's why I think the Intentional Life book, John Maxwell's book, but also implementing that into your daily life is critical. Because if you know what's truly important to you, and then every single day you look at that and say, okay, today I'm going to be intentional. I'm going to take out the things that aren't important and make sure I focus on those things that truly are. Right. And for women, I think that they're easy to put themselves down. Right. And you have a hard time getting them to say great things about themselves. And I won't say it in a sexist way, Tim, but in my male classes, typically it's the reverse of that. Right. We have a lot of men that are able to say all of their accomplishments, right? And then have a hard time picking out their flaws. But that's how we've been raised. That's truly how you've been raised. And so for women to be able to say, hey, I'm really awesome at this. I am such a good communicator, and I want to be a GM because I'm an awesome leader. It's hard to get that out of a lot of people. They have to see it first. So for me, it's getting to that point.
Yeah, I mean, things have changed since I've, I was a kid. I mean, heck, I was just telling Lynn before we went live, I am going to be a grandpa next month. So I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and listen, this social media, we live in a world where, growing up, especially as little girls, looking at, what they see and judging themselves by how many likes they have and getting into a hole because they don't look a certain way or talk a certain way or whatever it is. It's I'm finding there's some, and men too, but especially young ladies kind of breaking through that look, that's stinking thinking. I have not read that book. I am going to go out and read it. I think it's the one Maxwell book that I probably haven't read, but I think something key, at least in my life, as far as leadership, look, we've gone through a tough couple years. I mean, there's been a lot of sickness in our family and death and a lot of drama and, as spinning plates when your company continues to grow and trying to continue to keep the same character and then it grows and it's so there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So I think it's easy for us to feel sorry for ourselves a lot and then get into that complacency that it is just what it is. Something that's helped me. I have a quiet time every morning, but I'm grateful. Like I'm thankful as I see things that like little things. And I think that mindset, at least for me, has really helped. Like, thank you that I thanks that I can see, that I can walk, that I can talk, that like the little things that because there's people that can't, you know what I mean? And I think that sets the tone. Now, sometimes, you get out as soon as you have that great quiet time and you're I'm thankful for this and someone pulls out in front of you and then of course your horse cussing, but we're human, right? So at least setting a tone for gratitude. I would encourage everyone listening today to test us on that. I dare you. I dog dare you to get some time every single morning and at night, or depending if you're a night owl or early bird, to be thankful for the little things, because I guarantee you the majority of the people in the world would trade places with you immediately. So tell it what's in store. Like, what are you planning to do? I mean, this is incredible. And as a matter of fact, I'll probably say it one more time. We are going to put your contact information, Lynne, in this link below before we land the plane here, just to make sure that people can contact you if they want more information. Maybe you're sitting at a dealership and you've got some incredible women in your dealership, or men, but you want to plug them in. I'm assuming these things are virtual as well. So can you tell us a little bit about that and how that works? Because listen,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I do want to say, everybody, especially with success, I want to remind people, Michael Jordan had a coach. LeBron James has a coach. All these great athletes, Tiger Woods had a coach, right? Constantly. And no matter how good we are or we think we are, or how many social media followers we have, or how many people click on our podcast, we all need a coach. So tell us how that works and how you communicate and how you have these classes.
Well, I wanted to tell you, because you had said, what are they getting out of the class at the end? And I want to say there really isn't an end. So the classes are 9-week sessions typically, but most of my women's groups that I have they stay. Right? They don't just come for 9 weeks and then finish it. They're rolling into each other and building upon that group. And it's funny because my group that your coworker is in, one of your Carnell employees is in. Leaders. Yes, absolutely. Someone else called me the other day from the group and said, hey, I know I've been doing this now since you started. So she's been on there for 3 years, book after book. She said, but this one, I'm going to just sit. I want to listen. I want to absorb. She said, you have so many amazing people in this class. And just from the first class, I know I'm going to learn more than I can offer. So please allow me to listen more than speak, because she's a leader in her organization. She has been in leadership for 25 years. So I was so impressed, right? Because just off of one call, listening to 13 other women, she was able to absorb that much information and feel like she can be a better listener than teacher. That's huge. That's huge. And that's what I'm looking for, to build these communities, men and women that can help each other grow, can motivate each other, hold each other accountable, and give each other perspective. And that's why offer both men and women, just men, just women, and then all age groups, right? So if you go to my website, there's a calendar and it will show you all the free classes that I offer on top of the ones that you can sign up for that are not. You can also sign up for one-on-one coaching sessions. Those are offered in groups. You can't just sign up for one coaching session, right? You don't get much out of 30 minutes. But I definitely can sell a block to you for the calendar. You can just go in and sign up. And that's there to help you personally, professionally. And it's like Tim said, everybody needs a coach in life. It's just a matter of what you're looking for. And I'm there just to ask questions, keep you moving forward, and perspective, right? We don't look at yesterday, just like John Maxwell always says, like, you don't look at yesterday unless you're trying to figure out how you can be better today, but what can we do today to make tomorrow better?
Sorry about that. I had to write so. I was getting ready to talk and I was like, you
were speechless. I left you speechless.
and walk away. So how is this? So let me just recap for everyone. 2011 had some issues. You were put in charge. You became a single mom. Yes. And you just had to make it. And the fact that, I don't know if everybody knows, but 250 cars in your first year of selling cars is kind of a big deal. That's pretty incredible. And to understand that you want to continue to grow. Listen, I just want to say this. Life is. I said this in the first podcast, and I'll just land the plane here pretty quickly. But one of the most impactful talks that I've ever heard. I was at a charity event and I heard Ben Carson give a keynote, and literally I've heard, I don't want to say thousands, probably not thousands, hundreds of keynotes, hundreds of speeches in my life. And the main thing, and I'll say it quickly, that's just kind of like the just for today thing with Maxwell that just stuck in my head that I want everybody to understand as we talk about leadership. Ben said, look, I grew up and, I was very young and I found out that my dad had an entire different family. So my mom left. So she became a single mom, and him and his brother were not doing well at school. In fact, they called him dummy, and other kids in the class would get grades and they'd look, hey, Ben, what did you get? I got an A. And he would get the worst grades in his class until his sweet mother, who could not read, who only had a third grade education, made him and his brother, and he said, I hated her for it, made him and his brother read books and do book reports, write book reports and read them to her. But in doing so, he found out that even though I was in inner city Detroit and sometimes there wasn't food in the refrigerator and sometimes there wasn't heat, that I could read a book and I could go anywhere. And then I became the smartest person in the class. Then I was going up to the other smart kids and say, what'd you get? And I went from dummy. But this is what he said. If you didn't catch the first episode, this is what really marinated in my life. If you don't know, Ben Carson then obviously ran for president in 2016. He became one of the first neurosurgeons. In fact, one of only 8 African-American neurosurgeons in the world, and the first neurosurgeon to do a complete separation of Siamese twins attached to the head. I don't know the medical term. So brilliant guy. But here's where we land the plane. He said, listen, I went from dummy to all these things, but I had the same brain. I had the same brain.
That makes me want to cry.
I had the same brain. So I want to pour out to you, whoever's listening. I don't know what you're going through. I get emotional thinking about it because I've been through so much. We all go through so much. Right?
Yeah.
But I don't know what you're going through. We've all had stuff. We all have stuff. But we have the same brain. And that same brain, when we renew our mind, when we plug into programs like Lynne's and others and start unpacking that, we can get more out of life. We owe it to ourselves. I tell my team all the time, when you get home after a day's work or what you're doing, and if you can't look in the mirror and say, nobody else is looking. No social media post, no clicks, no likes, but you are honest with yourself and say, I did everything that I could to better myself today and to take care of my family. That's taking care of myself mentally, physically, spiritually. And what did I do to better those three things today? Ladies and gentlemen, when we think that way, that just for today mentality, I'm telling you, I know you're going through whatever you're going through, you will make an impact. And that's when you live a life more abundantly. And that is the key, not only to success, but impacting others. Because at the end of the day, when this is all said and done, it's not going to matter about all the stuff we had, but the lives as leaders. And it doesn't matter what your title says. I don't care what you say, man. It doesn't matter if you're bottle washer. You can be a leader. You can make a difference.
I love it.
Thank you so much for the time that you spent. I'm excited about getting this out. Hopefully this encourages women and men, not only in our space, but in different spaces, to make a difference in their life, first of all, and then in the lives of everyone around them. We are going to put the link to get a hold of Lynne. I'm going to be sending that out. Again, like I said, we practice what I preach. My team reached out to her, individuals in my team, and said, hey, I need this. So we do have people in her class right now, and the reports have been phenomenal. Do yourself a favor and click that link below, reach out to Lynne and get that information. Thank you so much Yes. Thank you, Lynne. It's been amazing. It got a little emotional, not sure why, but we're passionate about what we do. And this life, we might not be here tomorrow. So we're going to give every single thing we have today. So thank you for joining. And as we always say, listen, no one's smarter than everyone. Let's just continue to get better together. We'll see you soon.